The following is the views of MC and Gesture. If you don't like our views, don't listen to our podcast.
Welcome to Me Podcast You Listen with Gesture and MC.
All right, welcome to Me Podcast You Listen. This is Gesture, and I'm here with MC.
Hello, Gesture.
And we are going to discuss one of the most exciting times of year, Thanksgiving. But no one ever talks about Thanksgiving anymore. They just talk about that one day, the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, where you hear this noise in the background of people fighting for TVs and sandboxes and radios, more than likely iPhones and other things like that. And they're getting injured and just fighting over deals and deals and deals. And one of the things is I worked for a convenience store, not convenience store, but a shopping, whatever. What do you want to call them? What do you call these stores, MC?
Retail
stores. And I worked there during the holiday season. Never had to work on a Black Friday, nor would I think I'd want to. But one of the things I did notice about these videos, and it's been going on for years, is I wanted to know what it's like to work on a Black Friday. And I know that you've worked for retail stores, MC, and I know you've done that before. So what's it like on a Black Friday? You ever worked on one?
Psychological profile of a Black Friday in retail. Yes. I'm not going to reveal specifically who my employer is. Let's just say,
I will. I'll tell you.
Please don't. But the preparation for it is actually pretty crazy too, because there's pallets of merchandise that have to be prepared in certain strategic locations in these stores. A lot of times, numbers are given out to people who, we haven't even discussed this just discussing this right off the bat. Some of these shoppers, it'll be Thanksgiving Day and they'll be camped outside the store. The store front, and they'll just be great lines because they want to be the first one to make sure they get a TV or get the massive deal on a video game system or you name it, movies, CDs, everything, Blu-rays. It's just so many crazy deals. The retailers, this was never a thing. This was Black Friday. I want to believe Walmart was the first one that started actually opening on Thanksgiving Day. This was supposed to be the early morning of the following day, Black Friday, and then they actually started opening stores on Thursday. Some of them even starting to jump on and will open early Thursday, and it's just insane. It's just, it's just a crazy phenomenon that's got out of control. The hype to get people to spend their money for Christmas shopping right during now. Their Thanksgiving meal, and a lot of the stuff's done online too, and that created Cyber Monday, which is another set of deals on the Monday following, quote unquote Black Friday.
Can you believe that this type of event started as back as they can find out in the 1800s, and that they realized that the Black Friday rooted back instead it started back in Philadelphia. In the 1950s, the term described a horde of shoppers from the suburbs that descended into the city for the days after Thanksgiving. And that they tried to rename it to Big Friday, but it was like a day that the sales, they were promoting sales. It said the day after, or the Saturday before the Army and Navy's big football game. And so this is what they started doing. And then, like you said, they started doing it earlier now. And do you think that's a way for them to try to alleviate the Black Friday melee? Or do you think that it's just a way for them? Because now it says that it's actually a 4-day event. Black Friday now used to be on one day.
They're just trying to get the jump on the other retail, competitors. Basically, everybody's they're competing for shopping dollars. So if you are competing for shopping dollars, here's the issue, though, at hand. Not every single retailer has got every single exact item. So there's so many different sales on so many different items would kind of became, instead of, hey, we want to get your dollars first, it just became, one-upmanship. Hey, we're open first. Come to here, and it kind of just, I think, became like a vent, so to speak, and what was trying to compete with the dollars instead of just thinking of in terms of, okay, you got your sales, instead of trying to compete. Like, I doubt every single shopper is, because say if Walmart did it first, and I don't have the exact stuff in there, this was just a rumor from the retailing, industry who started it. So if Walmart say we were going to open at 4 p.m. on Thanksgiving Thursday, it's either other retailers, prerogative to say, hey, we're going to open up at the same time too to compete, or they're just going to say we care more about our employees and the shoppers to say we're going to stick at this time. And I don't know if they ran the numbers and thought, hey, we lost a lot of money from 4 p.m. to midnight or something from what Walmart's staying open. We got to compete with that. It just became, a ridiculous thing. And, I'm just speaking from my own perspective and other stuff too. When working this event, you could be working all during Thanksgiving and you have no time with your family. If you want to take a trip to see family from another state, you can't do it because as a valuable employee, basically what you're doing is this is your Super Bowl, so to speak, to use NFL terms, or this is your World Series that you have to be there. So if you mean anything to this company at all, which you should if you're employed by them, you need to be available for this. They make it strict availability concerns. They want the people there during the whole weekend if they can, But yeah, the Thanksgiving thing,
you're focused on also. It's not just your Super Bowl, but it's for these shoppers. This is their Super Bowl. This is their moment. They're ready. They're ready. They're stretching out. They're ready to sprint in there.
Yeah, it's everybody's free for all. So yeah, I mean, I've seen people. I mean, not personally, but I've seen footage of people trampled, mostly in Walmart. Their animals. I've seen people mad. I've walked through the sea of humanity, and me personally, I want to eat turkey on Thanksgiving, Jester, and I want to go to sleep. So the last thing I would possibly be doing after a good Thanksgiving meal that I enjoy would be getting up off my ass and going to a store to shop for some stuff I probably don't need. And whoever I'm shopping for, I probably could buy it early or I could buy it online. I don't want to walk in see a crowd of people and be it like it's Japan or San Diego Comic-Con when it's out, and leave me alone and let me sleep. But instead, I got to be in the middle of this horde of stuff, basically catering to these ravenous shoppers. And I'm not looking forward to this, to be honest with you. And it's just it's one of those things that you just got to deal with when you work in retail, and it's the nature of the beast, so to speak.
Well, when I worked in retail, the biggest thing we had to do was fix up, because right now Christmas comes out, I think, in September. I think all the Christmas crap comes out in September, and pretty much everybody's shopping right now for Christmas. And I think the worst thing I hated about working in retail was having to go back and fix the seasonal area, which is where all the wrapping paper and toys are, because people seem that they want something and then they walk about 30 aisles and then they just dump it somewhere else. And they don't understand that and I'll tell you where I worked. I worked at Target, and I had to wear a little red vest, and I always got the job when I worked there, was back in the 90s. They made me work in hardware, they called it, and also stationery, which is also a nightmare because everybody would always screw with the candles. And
I really loved you to put you in those two departments.
And then at the end of the night, they would say, hey, guess what? Everybody go to seasonal and help seasonal people out. And you go over there, and seasonal people are like crying because it's been a nightmare for a day, and everybody's just trashed the joint. And back then, everybody was just like wanting the new electronics, because electronics was the big deal. Got to get the talking Furby or whatever the hell was out, and everybody was mad. What's that?
Teddy Ruxpin, you remember that thing?
Teddy Ruxpin, and the My Buddy. Remember My Buddy, where those kids were such loners?
Furbies.
Yeah, the My Buddy was the best, because some kids like, you don't have a friend? Don't worry, I'll buy you one, and you can make him do whatever he wants, because he's your buddy.
I challenge you right now to pull up the My Buddy theme song.
I'll just sing it. My buddy.
My buddy.
My buddy. And how depressing was it? You don't have a friend, so I bought you a doll.
But this emotionless doll will be your friend.
And your friends will look at you and they'll say, you want to play? And you'll be like, no, because I'm playing with my buddy. And then they came up with Teddy Ruxpin, who looked cool because he would...
My buddy and me. Remember that thing?
I never had one, but sure, I remember those deals.
I remember the commercial. How could you not? That was probably one of the most popular jingles they've created.
And how could Teddy Ruxpin be that popular too? Right after Poltergeist had the frickin' clown, they come up with Teddy Ruxpin, and that thing just stands in the corner, and he's like, "Hey, I'm your buddy." And then you had to put a tape in him in order to do shit with him. So he really wasn't like thinking on his own. You had to put tapes in him. And so I didn't have a Teddy Ruxpin.
Yeah, that is a little weird, because basically he's going to talk. He's going to tell you whatever the tape is destined to. So I mean, I guess if you want to laugh with Teddy Ruxpin, you put in a laugh tape with him, right? And if you want to cry with Teddy Ruxpin, was there a cry tape, or how did that work?
You just like, Teddy Ruxpin, read me a story, and he's like, okay, and then you put it in his back. And so the same thing with,
but
like,
you know what he's going to read. So yeah, I mean, I guess
what's the point?
The kids who watch a movie 300 times the same movie, I guess it's going to be the same hypnotic effect. Put the kid and Teddy Ruxpin in the corner and let him fucking
and he
be
wasn't
a parent to your child.
Did you ever see one? Did you ever see one? His body was basically a body was a tape recorder. So he wasn't huggable. He wasn't soft. It was like hugging a tape player.
Yeah, that was Soundwave from the Transformers with a bear head.
Well, do you remember that too? Remember the Transformers?
And I love those things.
The one
I still have
they came up with the one
that
looked like cassette tapes, and you would open them up, and they were robots. Remember those? Did you ever have
Robots
those?
in Disguise?
Yeah, but they were tapes, and they went inside the guy who was a boombox.
Yeah, that was the tapes of like Laserbeak and Ravage. Those were the tapes of Soundwave.
Now think about it though. You didn't hug your Transformer, but these kids were supposed to hug a Teddy Ruxpin, and it felt like it was hugging like a plastic box. And it's like, how does that feel lovable? How does that feel exciting? My favorite toys I got an Armatron. An Armatron was a mechanical arm, not really mechanical, but it had a control box with 2 joysticks, and the arm was approximately 8 inches long, and you programmed it and had claws on it, and you could make it pick up stuff and then move over approximately a foot and drop it into something. And that was the coolest toy for 10 minutes when you realized that's all it could do. And it hustled me. And you would try to it was supposed to be like some big science thing. Like, you could pick up a ball, you could pick up this, you could pick up that. Armatron, and that's all it was.
That would be a good question for listeners. What was their favorite childhood toy growing up? You know?
What was your favorite childhood toy?
Growing up in the 80s, I mean, they had so many different good ones. I mean, I was being a DC Comics fan. I loved the Superpowers series because they made so many of them. So you're like, you know, any toy line that gave you such a host of characters, I was all on top of it, because being a comic book fan, you could create so many scenarios. So I loved the G.I. Joe. I loved the He-Man, which is the Masters of the Universe, and then the DC Comics. Marvel didn't really have too many things. I think they did their Secret Wars, which was kind of a knockoff, but they didn't have the same type of characters, you know, the array of characters. So any of the lines that had like a ton, the Transformers, but Transformers always seemed like they were more expensive and a little bit harder to find. So,
Well, Transformers is in the '90s. That was your. Did you ever
well,
have?
no, no.
Did you ever